Namami Shankaracharya Gurupada Saroruham Yasya Prasadam Maudhopi Sarvajnamaham Sadabhamam Kamakshi Karunarupam Kamakoti Jagadgurum Chirmurtin Kalajetsite Shankaracharya Apyayam Bhaktagiri Sambhuta Shankararnava Kamini Purata Bhuvanam Punya Shri Guru Saritapada Veda Vedanta Samradya Dharma Kamartha Mokshatam Vidyaranyam Nubah Punyam Jovidyaranyam Athinatu Sadashiva Shri Brahmendra Dhita Swapada Padukan धीरान परश्वेन्द्रार्यान ध्यायामि सततं हृदि देवे देहे च देशे च नित्यारोग्य सुखप्रदं भूत पामर सेव्यन्तं श्री जयेन्द्रं नमाम्यहं नमामि शंकरान्वाख्य विजयेन्द्र सरस्वती श्री गुरुं शिष्टमार्गानुनेतारं सन्नतिप्रदं सत्यनारायण क्षेत्रात् सत्यव्रतम् उपागतम् आश्रये कामकोटीशं सत्यश्री चंद्रशेखरं सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Our Shri Kanchi Kamakoti Mulamna Sarvika Pithadipati Jagadguru Shri Shankara Vijayam Saraswati Shankaracharya Swamigal last year performed Abhisheka to Ramanatha Swami at Rameshwaram with his own hands and thereby completed his Tirtha Yatra. And starting from that auspicious occasion with the prarthana of doing Anusandhana of the original Shankara Vijaya text, we are doing this prayatra by the name of Shri Shankara Bhagavatpāda rādhanā Upanya. And in this 30, we are right now examining the Anandagiriya Shankara Vijaya, composed by one Anandagiri, a direct disciple of Shri Bhagavatpāda. And in this 32nd part of this series, we are about to examine starting from the 47th prakarana of this text. So in the previous prakarana, Bhagavatpāda had discussed with the Kshapanaka, a person who proposed that Kala, time, is the supreme, and by knowing Kala one can attain moksha. And Bhagavatpāda clarified to him that this is not correct and that Advaita Vidya is necessary for attaining moksha. And now this prakarana speaks about the Pitrumata, and as we know in our tradition, the tradition says that we have to, among the duties of a grihastha, to do offerings to the Pitra Devatas and to the other Devas, and to take care of atithis and so on. All these matas are there. All these duties of the grihastha are there. So in that, as far as the Devas are concerned, lots of various kinds of Devas were mentioned in the previous prakaranas. And right now in this prakarana, those people who considered that Pitru Upasana is the greatest sadhana for attaining moksha, the discussion with them is detailed here. Tataha Pitrupasakaha Satya Sharma Kritavarmadayaha, and there is a Patha Bheda called Krita Sharmadayaha Samagatya Paramagurunatva Idamuchuhu Swaminna Asmanmatam Savadhanena Srunu Pitrupasanamevan Yatam Kartavyam Te Pitaraha Agrishvatadayaha Chandramandalopari Swarge Nityamuktaha. So by name Satya Sharma, Krita Varma or Krita Sharma and others, they come to Bhagavatpāda and they do Namaskara and they say it is important to do Pitra Upasana without fail. So listen to our mata. Pitra Devatas are by name of Agnishvata, Barihishat and so on. They are given in the Vedas and they are living in the Chandramandala. So how they live in the Chandramandala, it will be mentioned shortly. So he says that Prativarsham Akila Pitra Dineshu Tadupasanameva Aspabhira Adharat Kartam. So in all the Pitra Upasana, the days which are suitable, auspicious for doing Upasana of the Pitra Devatas, in all those days we have done Upasana of them, and because there is the Smriti Vakya Shraddhakrit Satyavadicha Grihasthopi Vimuchate iti Moksha Hetutva Smaranacha. So it is not that the word Grihasthopi means that not only sannyasis but even Grihasthas can attain moksha. So here, what kind of Grihasthas? Those who are performing Shraddhas, that is the Pitra Upasana, and those who are along with that, they should be following truth in their speech. So this is given as a moksha sadhana in the Smriti. So because of this, we can understand that Pitru Upasana is a moksha karana. And now he describes how that how those Pitrus are living there in the Pitraloka, and how their Upasana, the timing of their Upasana is clarified here. So we have, we know day and night, an entire one full day, the sense of day and night in our normal human mana, manushya mana, as far as in our standard, as per our standard, one full day means one daytime and one night time. And of course, there is the Pitrumana and the Devamana also. And in Devamana, an entire year of the Manushya Mana, as far as humans are concerned, whatever is 1 year, that is considered to be a single Ahoratra or a complete full day in the Devamana. As far as the Pitrumana is concerned, the Chandramana Masa. The Chandramana Masa is considered to be considered in two ways, Amavasya to Amavasya or Purnima to Purnima. And he says that Chandramasasya Dina Rupatvad Madhyanham Amavasya Bhavati. So here he is describing which points in the Chandramana Masa are corresponding to which parts of the day. So he says that the entire Chandramasa, it is considered to be 1 day, and the time of Amavasya is the Madhyanha. So by examining the descriptions given in this passage, we can understand that the Pitra Devatas are on the far side of the moon. They are considered to be on the far side of the moon, which is not directly visible to us. So we can understand that on Amavasya day, because the moon is between ourselves and the sun, the far side of the moon is facing the sun directly. So that is midday for them, right? And obviously, because of this, the direct opposite point, the Ardharatri point, that point is called that will mean that the sun is on one side and the earth is in the middle, and the moon is on the other side, which means that the far side of the moon is facing away from the sun. So it is directly pointing away from the sun. It means that that is midnight as far as the Pitras are concerned. And we think about it, when the moon, he comes from Purnima, slowly rotates, and he comes 1/4 of the entire circle towards coming towards the sun, so that there is now a 90-degree angle between the sun, the earth, and the moon. So it means that the far side of the moon is now pointing, which is always pointing away from the earth, it is perpendicular to the sun, such that the sun would be seen to be rising at that point of the moon. So that is the Krishna Paksha, because it is after Purnima and going towards Amavasya, the Krishna Paksha Ashtami, that will be Suryodaya for them. And obviously, on the other side of this, we consider the point from that Amavasya going towards Purnima. At that point, that halfway in the quarter circle after Amavasya or before Purnima, that would mean that the far side of the moon is pointing this way, and when the sun would be setting for them. So it is Shukla Paksha Ashtamyam Astamayaha. So this is the correspondence of the lunar month, the Chandra Masa, to the Pitralokas, what is considered to be the start of the day and the mid of the day and the end of the day, and the mid of the night, as far as the Pitras are concerned. So, Tasmat Sarvepi Grihasthaha Shraddha Karma Amayam Kurvanti. So, because of this, we consider that Amavasya, see, we take food in the midday. So, likewise, if the Pitras have to take food in their midday, it would mean that their midday is Amavasya on the earth. So, that is why Amavasya is considered to be most auspicious for performing Shraddha. So, we have that there is a Shraddha, and right now, at least it should be performed in the Tarpana form. So that has to be there. That has to be performed on that particular time. There is a reason for that particular time to be chosen for the Upasana of the Pitra Devatas. So through that, Tat Tripti Dvara Mukti. So through this Upasana, one can attain moksha as mentioned in the Smriti Vakya earlier. So once this Upasaka says this, Paramaguru Patati, Bhoho, Satya Sharma Kritavarmadeha, Shunudbham, Bhavanmatavanarham, Kutaha Pramana Bhava, oh, you Satya Sharma, Kritavarma and others, please listen. Your mata is not acceptable. How come? Because there is no sufficient pramana, no sufficient basis. Shraddha karma kurvita iti vachanameva pramanam. Iti yadi uchyeta, tarhi tena karmana muktiriti kathamuktam. Yes, we have that smriti vakya which says that one should definitely perform shraddha karma. But how do we say that through that karma moksha will be obtained? That is not acceptable. That is not, there is no pramana for that. Because the Upanishad specifically says, na karmana na prajaya iti nishedha darshanat. So it clearly says that karmanusthana cannot be directly a sadhana for moksha, whether it is pitrakarma or devakarma. What Brahma, further the other Veda Vakya, the Upanishad Vakya says, Brahma vidapnoti, only by knowing that, realizing that Brahma vastu, that one can attain the Parama Purushartha. So have you not examined those Vakyas? This is what Acharya asked. And further, even in the Pitrakarmas, there is the Sukta called Abhishramana. There are the Vedic passages which are meant to be chanted during the Shraddha, so that the Bhoktas who are eating the food during the Shraddha, they should listen to all those Veda passages. And among those Abhishramana mantras, there is one mantra which speaks of the state that is beyond creation, Nasadasi, Nosadasi. So those mantras are clearly pointing to that state which is beyond karmanusthana, beyond srishti sthiti samhara, that which speaks, those mantras speak directly about the Brahmavastu, which is beyond the world. Deva vicharayadham karmanga sukteneva karma nivrittir bhavati vitru suktaram brahmavaratva. So even these suktas which are part of the karmanusthana, they themselves indicate that karmanushtanas have to be discarded at some point, not immediately, but at some point. So all these Pitra Suktas, whatever is considered to be Pitra Suktas, they consider Brahmavastu to be the supreme. And so we have to understand, this is why Acharya points out that whatever mantras are being pronounced in the Karmanushtana, in the Shraddhanushtana, which you are holding so sacred, even those mantras are indicating that we have to go beyond Karmanusthana, we have to go to that Brahmavastu which is beyond the world. So you can't say that just by doing the Shraddha Karma, one can attain moksha. It goes against the very mantras which are pronounced in the Shraddhanusthana. And further, Acharya gives a small Mimamsa lesson. In the earlier Prakarana, we saw how there was a small Upanyas or a small lesson about Jyotish Shastra. And here there is a small lesson of Mimamsa. And this is to show that Acharya is not speaking all these things out of ignorance. Acharya is very much aware of the nuances of the Shastra which is involved there, which is Jyotish Shastra in the previous Prakarana, and Mimamsa Shastra, which is instructing us to do Karmanushtanas, that we should not discard Karmanushtanas, whether they are Devakaryas or Pitrakaryas. Mimamsa Shastra is the Shastra which speaks about these, which examines the Vedic passages and shows us how these Vedic passages should be interpreted. So that there is a small description of the content of the Mimamsa Shastra, in the sense that how Mimamsa looks at the Veda. So the Veda, it is in general, it is said to be Mantra Brahmanayor Veda Namadheyam. So the parts of the Veda which are pronounced during the Karmanushtanas, they are called mantras. And the remaining parts of the Veda which instruct how those Karmanushtanas have to be performed, which explain these mantras and so on, those mantras, those Vedic passages are called Brahmanas. So there are texts, Vedic texts which are called by the name of Brahmana, but there are some mantras in that text also, as part of that text also. And likewise, there are the Samhitas, which are actually the mantra Samhitas, and the Vedic passages, there are Brahmana passages in the mantra Samhitas also. So we have to be clear which passages are mantras and which are Brahmanas. Now here, beyond this, Mimamsa goes into dividing this into many parts. Actually, here only 3 parts are shown, but in Mimamsa, 5 parts are shown in more detail. Here, this is just a summary of Mimamsa, not the entire Shastra, obviously. So, that apart from the mantra, the Brahmana portion, that is divided into two. One is Vidhi and the other is Arthavada. So, those Vakyas which instruct you should perform Sandhyavandana daily, and if you want to attain Swarga, you can do Jyotashtoma Somayaga. And those Vakyas, they are Vidhis, they are instructions, do this, do this, do this. And likewise here, as per this text, it also takes the Nishedha Vakyas, those prohibition sentences which say don't do this, and so on. Those Vakyas are also taken as part of this Vidhi, the subdivision called Vidhi, in the sense that they are instructing whether to do something or to not do something. They are also instructing, so they are here, they are considered to be part of Vidhi, but in Mimamsa, they are taken separately, the Nishedha Vakyas, apart from Vidhi. And further, as regards Arthavada Vakyas, they are also of two kinds. Some Arthavada Vakyas, or maybe the majority of Arthavada Vakyas, they are used for the Prashamsa of the Karmanusthana, which is given by the Vidhi. That is, see, if the Vidhi Vakya says do this, immediately not everybody will enter into doing it. So you have to say that why this is to be done. In lots of places, such explanations are there. Not everywhere, but in many places. And further, there will be some stories which say that that person did this and he also obtained this phala. And if you do this, you will also obtain the phala, and so on. So such passages are useful to make the listener interested in the Karmanusthana. So those Arthavadas are there. And further, there are other Arthavadas which are the mostly in the Upanishads, which which speak about the Atma Tattva. So here, Atma Tattva, as far as the Mimamsakas are concerned, that is not immediately for Atma Jnana and Moksha, but it is of the purpose of Atma Jnana, of knowing the Atma Vastu, is different in Mimamsa, but definitely they also accept that these Upanishad passages speak about that Atma only. That is the actual content which is there in those Vakyas. So, this regarding this Arthavada Vakya, there rises a question. Why are these Arthavada Vakyas necessary? They are not so meaningful, is the objection. Because for doing Dharmanushtanas, the mantras, the passages which are actually to be pronounced are the mantras. And the passages which give us the procedure how to do the Prayoga, they are the Vidhi Vakyas. So what is the role of Arthavada Vakyas here? The Arthavadas are not going to be pronounced in the Karmanusthana, so they are not necessary. It is an objection. But the answer to this is of two kinds. One is that, see, as mentioned earlier, just immediately because somebody is telling you to do this, not everybody will enter into doing that. You have to explain why this has to be done, what is the usefulness, how it will be fruitful. Only then it is possible for you to expect that somebody will spend the effort into doing that actually. And then further, not only this, so anyway, because of that, those passages are praising this Karmanusthana, then people will be interested and actually do the Karmanusthana, so they are supportive of the Vidhi Vakyas. So this is one answer. Another answer is that there are some Karmanusthana, some yajnas, where they are called pariplavas, and there some such rare anushtanas are there in which all Veda parts are to be chanted, whether they are vidhis or arthavadas or mantras. So in those parts, they also give you an opportunity for those arthavada parts to be actually chanted in the anushtana also as part of that parayana. So thus it is said that these arthavada vakyas are useful and have to be accepted as the ataha anushtana upayogitena arthavadaha grahyaha bhavanti. So they are useful for karmanusthana in this way, therefore they also have to be accepted as part of the Vedas. And then mantras to Gayatri Adaya. So we have lots of mantras which are giving the Swarupa, which speak about the greatness or the qualities of the various devatas. And so we have to say that yasmin karmani yo mantro vidhidarshitah sa tasminneva sada angikartavya ityarthe paryavasite. So this we also have to say that this karmanusthana has this mantra has to be uttered in this particular place as part of this karmanusthana. All this is understood by the vidhi and the arthavada to do the vinyoga of the mantra. So all these parts of the Veda are together, joining together to teach us, but teach us, tell us how to do the karmanusthana. Ityarthe paryavasite. So this is what this is the way that Mimamsa speaks about the Vakyas. But here the point is that there are Veda passages in which there are mantras, as mentioned earlier, that the mantras which are present in the Shraddha also, that are uttered as part of the Shraddha also, and there are other Vidhi Vakyas, or definitely even Arthavada Vakyas, which show Arihi Akhandam Nirgunam Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarupam Sarva Mantra Avachya Munneyam. So there are, from those passages we have to understand that there is a vastu which is beyond the world, as mentioned earlier in the case of the Nasadiya Sukta. So that vastu which is beyond the three qualities, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo gunas, and that is always pure and of the nature of knowledge, and which is devoid of all shackles. So that passage, those passages are, they indicate that Brahma Vastu which is beyond the mantras, which is beyond all the arthavadas. Those passages, they cannot be, when you say that it is beyond them, you cannot say that those passages directly speak about it. But they indicate that such a Vastu exists. And furthermore, those karma, there are some karmanushthanas which are, we can even say that there are some Vidhi Vakyas which tell us to do Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. Shravana is to listen to those Veda Vakyas which speak about that Paramatma Vastu, and Manana is to mentally examine those Veda Vakyas which are about that Paramatma Vastu. And then when by Manana one understands those Vakyas well, then one should do Nididhyasana, one should do that Anusandhana, Dhyana, to internalize that and to attain oneness with that Paramatma Vastu. So this is the process of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Through that one can attain that Anubhuti, that Jnana, and from that Jnana one attains Moksha. So, and those actually, rather than saying directly attain Jnana, those Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanas are useful for destroying that illusion which is covering that Maya, which is stopping us from realizing our own true self. So once that is removed, then the Jnana shines forth by itself, and that will lead to moksha. So those Veda Vakyas are there. They are also Pramana Bhutas, and they are pointing to that Vastu only. Vedanam Sagunatvat. So Vedas are, furthermore, the majority part of the Veda is speaking not about the that Paramatma Vastu, even though, but there are some parts. That is the distinction that is being pointed out here. The majority part of the Veda is about Saguna Vastu. Saguna Vastu in the sense that it talks about all these worldly things which we are experiencing in our day-to-day life. Majority part of the Veda. But some passages are there which are speaking beyond that. So that is why Bhagavan says in the Gita, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. So Ato Mumukshada Nistraigunyana Bhavitavyam. So we have to go beyond that Traigunya, Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna, that Sattva Tamo we have to go beyond that. So that is the Upadesha of the Shruti Smritis as per the Mimamsa Shastra. Tasmat Bhavantopi Vitradidharanena Pitrakarma Pravancha Vritting Gata Aneka Janmarjita. So since you have been doing all these Karmanushtanas, which is good, you have been wearing the Pavitras and whatever is the proper procedure to do, you have been doing this Pitru Upasana, that is good. But the thing is that you should not, it is not correct to say that this is enough to give moksha. So you have to go beyond that. Sadguru Mukhonmishan Mahavakya Shravanadira Mukta Bhavata. As mentioned earlier, you have to listen to the Mahavakyas coming from the Sadguru, and you have to do Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. and nanya panthaha vidyate. So there is no other way, only through that jnana one can understand that Paramatma Vastu and attain moksha. Ityupadeshtaste paramagurum natva tadupadesha balat kritarthaha bhavan. So through the upadesha of that Bhagavatpāda, they became kritarthas. Anandagiri prakaranam sattachatvarimsham. That's in the 47th prakarana. And in the next prakarana, the 48th prakarana, this is a quite small one. This speaks about two matas. One is Shesha Mata and Garuda Mata. So we know about Adi Shesha, who is the who serves as the bed of Mahavishnu, and Garuda, who serves as his Vahana. So the Upasakas of those two Devatas. So this is an ancillary to the Vaishnava Mata, which was presented much earlier. ततः शेषोपासकाः गरुडोपासकाश्च शङ्खपाद कुब्जलीढादयः समागत्य स्वामिनम् इदम् ऊचुः. So they come to Acharya and they speak to him. Bho Guru asmadiyam matadvayam ativichitram shruno. So our two matas are very special. Listen to it. Sheshakila Bhubharta Adishesha is the one who is carrying this earth on his heads. And Bhagavato Narayanasya Talparupena Antaranga Bhakta Kila. So if he is serving as the bed of Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, then it obviously means that he is the Antaranga devotee, the very innate devotee of that Bhagavan. Asmat Dakarita Phanadharanamatena Muktavayam. So what he is extrapolating is that by wearing the Phana, the symbol, either we can consider it to be as a marking which resembles a snake's, which is the hood of a snake, or by wearing some vastu which resembles that. As we have seen in the much earlier Shaiva and Vaishnava matas, they used to say that by wearing these symbols or these vastus itself, one can attain moksha. Likewise, he is saying about the Adishesha. So this is one mata. And Garuda Kila Sarvaloka Kukshipradesham Bhagavantam Swapari Aropya Sancharati Tutkarshena. So as was said for Adishesha earlier, see Bhagavan Sriman Narayana, he has all the worlds within his stomach, it is said to be. And that such Sriman Narayana is reclining on Adishesha. And likewise, he is traveling on Garuda, using Garuda as a Vahana. So if Garuda is able to, both of these are able to carry that Bhagavan within whom all the worlds exist. Tadupasaka ashta nitya muktaha vayam bhagavat bhakta agraganyaha. So by doing this upasana of these two, we are always qualified to attain moksha, and we are among the greatest of the devotees of Bhagavan. Iti prapte chaivam purvapakshe paramaguru pathati. From this purvapaksha, Acharya replies, Bho Shankhapada Kubjalidha. Oh, how come you are saying this? Narayanasya Dalpa Vahana Upasayana Muktihi Ityuktam Tad Atyanta Durgrahyam. You are saying that by doing the upasana of the bed and of the Vahana, the vehicle of Narayana, you can attain moksha. If you consider that the claim to greatness of Garuda or Adishesha is their relationship to Narayana, then Tarhi Narayana Upasana Meva Gurutam. So why don't you directly do upasana of that Narayana? Why do you have to come to these two? Tasya sarvatmakatvat brahmamshatvacha. So that Sriman Narayana is considered to be Paramatma, and he is, as per Shastra, Shiva, Vishnu, and Ambika, and so on. Some Swarupas are considered to be direct forms of Paramatma Vastu. So but you can do upasana of those forms directly. Paramparaya chitta shuddhanantaram paramaguroopadishta margena muktau bhavatam. So after by doing this upasana, you will attain chitta shuddhi, and by the upadesha of the Paramaguru, you will attain moksha. So in this case, ityeva mukta utau Srimad Acharyam Natva. So this is the path towards moksha, is what Bhagavatpāda tells them. So you do this upasana, which is okay, but you have to do upasana of Sriman Narayana, which will lead you to Chitta Shuddhi, and that will lead you to moksha, jnana, and through that to moksha. So doing upasana of Adishesha or of Garuda is not directly a sadhana for moksha prapti. Ityeva muktautau Srimad Acharyannatva Shuddha Advaita Vidyasritau Shishyo Babhuvatahu. So by the Upadesha of Srimad Acharya, The two of them, they accepted the Shuddha Advaita Vidya and became disciples of the Bhagavatpāda. Ityaranta Anandagiri Prakaranam Ashtatutvarimsham. Thus ends this Prakarana. So the further discussion, let us examine in a further session by the Anugraha Bhagavatpāda. Sarvavyapaka Chaitanya Rupena Javi Tirthari Seva Shankaracharyo Guru Mukti Pradasatam Hara Hara Shankara Jaya Jaya Shankara.